Hello, TopFanRivalry followers, and welcome to Unraveling the Red Sox. It's been a little bit, been about a week and a half. Mike and I are back on the right schedule. Mike, how you doing? You ready to go? You ready to unravel these Red Sox?
I'm ready. We're repping the East today, the AL East and the NL East.
It's funny that you say that because the it's funny that you say that because we were on a Zoom meeting and Mike jumped on at the end, and my wife sends a message. She's on the Zoom meeting. She goes, "Is that a Philly shirt? I thought he was a, I thought he was a Red Sox fan." And then she goes, "And a Braves hat? Is he confused?" No, this is just Mikey being Mikey.
That's right.
Welcome
I'm
to
a
the jungle,
baseball
ladies and
fan. I'm a
gentlemen.
baseball fan at heart. I was talking to a friend today. Uh, Shout out to my buddy Craig, who sent me a link to this book about the history of baseball with a focus on how it developed in the New York metropolitan area. And he was like, I'm not trying to like shove it in your face or anything, because I'm a Yankees fan, blah blah. And I was like, hey man,
Whatever.
like I just like baseball and I appreciate everything, you the history of the game, both current and the past history. And I told him too, I was like, hey, I gotta say that like one of my favorite players right now in baseball is Aaron Judge. Even though I'm a Red Sox fan, like I just want him to have individual success. The rest of the Yankees can drop dead, but Aaron Judge can keep going and having a good time. I like Juan Soto too. Don't get me wrong. Uh, you know,
So I
those,
need Aaron Judge to hit 57 or 58 home runs and stop right there. Because you remember that ice bucket challenge that people were doing for ALS 2 years ago?
yeah,
Well, I made
yeah.
that with your good buddy Big Dave down in Houston, and a tie is 58. 59, I'm dumping water on me. 57, he's dumping water on himself. So I'm looking for 57. Worst case scenario, 58. That's what I'm
Just
looking
for the
at.
push. Yeah, we'll see. How many games
Um,
does he have left at home that he just has to poke it into right field?
I don't know. Let's suspend all those games. No, I'm
Right. But
so
we are here to discuss the
yes.
continuing to be red hot Red Sox. And I say that they continue to be red hot because like they just went through the probably the most challenging stretch of their season and they came out with a winning record.
Yes. And so we prognosticated that,
We sure did.
right? We said take split with Baltimore and take two out of three
Yep.
from Houston, and that's exactly what
Yep.
you guys did.
Exactly. We were on the Jaron Duran revenge tour. Uh after the Astros kind of beat down the Red Sox in Fenway, which happens to the Red Sox for some reason. They have a better record on the road, so I knew that when they went on the road, to Houston, that they were going to be able to play hard and take a couple of games, and that's exactly what happened. So they weren't easy wins. They weren't easy losses. They played, oh my God, baseball pretty much every game uh, of the two series between Baltimore um, and Houston, and even the end of the Rangers series. So they've been, kind of shaky in the pitching department, but the offense, my goodness, has been as clutch as almost any team in baseball except for maybe San Diego.
Yep. Yep. And you and I, every time we film this, I remember the the first week of this season, or right before we recorded for the first week of the season, and you and I both discussed how much we would love the Red Sox to be competitive, but
Yep.
they are going to be a 500 team. They
Yep.
are
And they
anything but.
were for the first 3.5 months of the season until that White Sox series at the end of June where they lost 2 out of 3 or split with the White Sox.
Yeah.
They were a 500 team, and then after that, it's been like brutal test after brutal test. Yankees, Rangers while they've been hot twice, Orioles, Houston twice. Like it's just been trial by fire. Phillies, like they've just and they're coming out on top in most of these situations. So like how how much can we complain as Red Sox fans about what's going on?
You can't.
You
You
know,
can't.
they
And
probably needed to do a little bit more at the trade deadline, honestly, just to come up, they came out of the All-Star break a little flat, against the Dodgers. You're welcome. Can have a few wins there, but those are super competitive games, like we talked about, like one pitch either way, and the result could have been totally different in those games. So,
yeah,
um,
and Kiki going up against his
they
former
had
teammate, like you said.
oh man, what PK? We
Yeah,
had we had some issues with the bullpen recently, but seems that they've kind of righted the ship a little bit. The return of Chris Martin in that eighth inning role. Justin Slayton is getting ready to come back, so he joins Lucas Sims and Louis Garcia and Triple B and Zach Kelly. Zach Kelly, who probably had one of the best single pitching at performances against Aaron Judge in one of the in the Father's Day game. Pretty much just locked himself into Red Sox lore at that point, but um, he doesn't have to go be the one that's in those high pressure situations anymore. Louis Garcia, I didn't even mention him yet, and he seems to be coming back on track. So a part of their game that has been lacking is coming back into form, and uh, it's going to be a fun ride through the end of August and through September. So,
yeah,
as of right now, we're 3.5 back in the wild card. Uh, which isn't which isn't like a totally scary number as like 4.5 or 5 had they lost a couple of these games to Houston. So,
mhm.
the schedules are about to flip where the Red Sox have been again on this brutal stretch that we've been talking about since late July. Uh, and the schedule is going to get a little bit easier for the Red Sox. 7 games against Toronto, Tampa, uh, you
White Sox.
Detroit, the White Sox. The Mets are playing all right, but like they're gonna take 2 out of 3 from the Mets. Uh, so and the schedule is gonna get a little bit harder for the Royals. So hopefully it's gonna everything's gonna swing out the right way if everything keeps going the way that it's been going. Jaron
Going.
Duran is absolutely a lightning rod and a spark plug at the top of this order. So let's talk about their lineup real quick. So when Tristan Casas came back, Casas was batting 7th, Yoshida was batting 8th, and Rafaela was batting 9th. That is a completely top to bottom scary lineup.
Okay, I agree.
Top to bottom. There's damage can be done at any part of this lineup, and that is why they're continuing to win these games. Alex Cora has been a pinch hitting genius. Romy Gonzalez, Romy, our homie, has been an
Romy, our
absolute.
homie.
Our homie Romy has been an absolute monster off of the bench, coming up in clutch situations all the time, and he can flash the leather. The team is just fun to watch.
They are. They are. And what I like about the team is they put themselves in a position with 30 some odd games left, right? Put themselves in a position with 30 some odd games left to basically separate themselves out from the pack. There's only two teams, well, effectively really one Tampa Bay's 7 back. So you guys put yourself in a position where it's all yours for the taking against the more difficult or the easier schedule. And I like
Yeah,
that because these guys are playing well. Like you say,
yeah,
Jared Duran, and you're still pitching amazing.
yeah. Starting pitching is coming back around. Bayo, Hauk, Cooper Criswell yesterday absolutely just shut down uh the Astros. So let's against Verlander too, like the ageless wonder. He takes the moniker the ageless wonder, the oldest man in baseball. Uh, um,
Yeah.
so
He's getting the Jamie Moyer Award.
yeah,
I
but I
mean,
mean, you don't expect Criswell to do that, and when those kind of performances happen, it just galvanizes the rest. I was listening to the broadcast yesterday, and they talked about how, uh, how bullpens are contagious, how pitching is contagious, and bad pitching leads to more bad pitching, leads to more bad pitching, and when you can turn it around, good pitching, is contagious also. And thankfully they were able to when with Chris Martin coming back, really starting to turn the page on those poor performances, those games that they gave it up. Uh, you know, you obviously they sent Jordan up the other night as a spy to just watch 3 pitches, and then he told Yanir exactly what to do, exactly what was coming, and that was the only reason that the Red Sox didn't sweep the Astros.
yeah.
Um, that was
The
that was disappointing, but the team has, as our friend Tuukka Rask used to say, has the memory of a goldfish, and they are so good at turning the page and not letting the previous day's poor performance affect the next day's performance. It makes
yeah.
them hungrier. You see them come out, and Jaron Duran leads off the game with a home run. Masataka Yoshida is hitting like basically 500 over the last 2 weeks.
Mhm.
It's Casas is coming back now. He's starting to hit bombs, and just move the order, move the order, move the order, move the order. That's what these guys are so good at, and they're great at making the starting pitcher work. So they let the starting they obviously they swing at their pitches and whatnot, but they're not afraid to go deep into a count, to foul off a ton of pitches, to drive up the opposing pitcher's pitch count and get into that bullpen, and then bang, that's where the damage is done.
So the yeah, and yeah. The only issue that I have, and this is baseball related, this isn't just Red Sox, but you guys are doing very well in the bullpen area. I wish that we were a lot less reliant on the bullpen. I wish that starting pitchers were going out and trying to go 7
I
instead of just
agree.
trying to
I
go
don't
5.
like I don't like the 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 choreographed pitching, 5 and a third for the starter, and then you play the matchup game the rest of the way. Like, if a pitcher is on, leave him out there. And it's happened a couple times where Cora tries to get a little too smart, and it ends up not working out.
Yeah.
It's happened.
I saw
I've
that.
watched it happen.
I saw that the other night in a Dodger game where Jack, who had just come over from he was in the 7th inning or 6th inning, had like 88 pitches, and Dave left him out there. And I thought, okay, good, good. Let him get the 18 outs. Like
Right.
save your bullpen arms. So I, I like the fact that your bullpen's being very effective and how effective it's being. I do not like, however, our detrimental reliance on our bullpens for all teams in baseball, right?
Right.
I
The
mean,
bullpen should be there. The bullpen should be there for when the starting pitcher is in trouble.
mhm.
I blame Joe Madden.
Not to be confused with John Madden. You blame
No.
Joe Madden. Let's get the right Madden
Wine
correct.
glass Joe.
Yeah. So that being said, yeah, I love that. So now here's the thing. I'm a huge fan of your team this weekend. Obviously, you're playing the Snakes. We need you to
Yep.
do well as Dodger fans. Is there any spot right now that you're looking at either in your lineup or in the schedule and you're going, oh,
No.
good, good. Yeah,
Because like we've seen the Red Sox take care of the Yankees. They're the best team in baseball, and we've seen the Red Sox take care of them the entire season. So there's no reason that any other team should scare us.
right. Yeah. Baltimore,
And
the
and
only
really it's
yeah,
as simple as that, you
yeah.
know.
The only other team that it makes me nervous in your division is Baltimore
Yeah,
because they're still
definitely. I mean,
playing for it.
yeah, and they're a great team, and they're young and they're hungry, and they just want to play tough and play hard, and uh, you know, they're a tough matchup, but we just split with them, and if we do that, then like that's all that needs to
All,
happen.
all gravy. So when we have what's nice about your division, and this is honestly where I think you have an advantage when you're playing Baltimore. Is when you're playing Baltimore. Now, the Yankees, it's a different story because everybody geeks up for the Yankees, right? You guys geek up for the Yankees. But with Baltimore, it's a different story because they're probably not going to miss the playoffs. They're like 7 or 8 games away from missing the playoffs because they're up on you guys by like 5 or 6, and then I mean they're like 8 games away from missing the playoffs. But in Baltimore and New York, one of those teams that wins the division is going to get the first round bye, and they're going to
Yep.
beat up on each other as it is. It's just a
Right.
first round bye scenario because Houston or Seattle is not going to get a bye, um, and so
Well,
the
Cleveland's
American
not
League
that far
West is
behind.
saving everybody. What I'm trying to say is when you guys play Baltimore, it may not be that crazy of a series. We might get some of the call ups playing and things like that, right?
Yeah, I I just think that like interdivision games are going to
Yeah,
be, especially like for us, like we're going to be playing tough.
yeah, no, 100%, one hundred
They're
percent.
going to be playing to win. They're
Yeah,
still -3 at home, which is not great. Craig Breslow was on the radio today talking about how him and Alex Cora are trying to figure out things to do to make it seem like they're on the road when they're home, i.e., like taking the team bus in. Everybody gets on the team bus, drives around the block, or
everybody goes out to
setting
dinner or something
setting
like that.
everybody up in a hotel. So I mean they're +11 on the road and -3 at home. Like that is any other good team like have that kind of record? No. Kansas, yeah, yeah, no.
Yeah, yeah, no,
The
and it's
Guardians are +18, Twins are +12, Royals are +14, Astros are +6, Mariners are +9, or sorry, +11, and the Red Sox are -3, and they're like hanging in there. It's
I talked to a
crazy.
professional player one time who said that he liked playing on the road more than he liked playing at home. And I asked him, I said, why? I mean, you get to sleep in your own bed, yada, yada, yada. And he said, because when I'm on the road, literally it's get up, call my wife, talk to the kids for a few minutes, take a shower, head over to the ballpark.
Are you in more of a routine on the road, like a more
Well,
structured routine?
well, he had said, when I'm at home, it's get up, help get kids ready for school, help make the breakfast, make the lunches, like it's all the domestic stuff, which I'm not saying
Sure.
is a bad thing at all, but he said it was more distracting for him,
Yeah,
right?
that makes
I mean,
sense.
you have a daughter, you know what it's like to
Yep.
to get her up and imagine if you had to compete at the highest levels and
Right.
she wakes up in the morning in a bad mood and you're home and your wife's looking at you going, All right, your
You gotta
turn to
take
deal
care
with
of
it.
that.
You just came
Yeah,
back from an
yeah,
11
yeah.
game road trip.
Well, I mean, the environment at Fenway though, like that should be a home field advantage, and it's weird that it's not. But maybe because they're so close and they're making this great push and they're playing so well
Hmm.
for this last stretch for the home stretch of this season, it'll turn into an advantage because it's getting freaking loud at Fenway Park.
It
You
should.
can attest. You were there a couple weeks ago, and it was
I love
loud.
that ballpark, man. I,
Yeah,
I, if I lived closer, I'd be tempted to try to scalp season tickets from somebody because
right.
it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing when you're there. And those of you that are listening to this and are Red Sox fans, you get it. But it is a whole thing when you're there, right? And so, yeah. Anyways, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, Mike, take us home. Before I talk about a few things that are coming up, take us home um, from here before we talk Red Sox in 2 weeks.
All right. We have a great series starting tomorrow night with the Diamondbacks. They're a very similarly built team, i.e., like not a whole lot of uh, not a whole lot of established superstars, but some emerging superstars on that team on both sides. I apologize that I don't know how the pitching lines up, but Zach Gallen is a great young arm with the D backs, and obviously Corbin Carroll on the other side. So he's had a rough start middle to the season, but he's kind of turned it on as of late. And they're another just exciting team that plays hard, and it's no wonder that they made it, as far as they did in the playoffs last year. Um, but that's going to be a really fun series. I just don't see the Red Sox like taking their foot off of the gas or off of anybody's throat the rest of the way. So, you're going to have to come in to play the Red Sox. Like, I think every game starting in Baltimore
Mhm.
is a playoff game atmosphere mindset for this team. So that's going to lead to just a lot of exciting baseball. Toronto comes in after that for 4, and that should just be. I mean, Toronto, I'm pretty sure is laid down this season. So,
Yeah.
Vladdy's going to hit a couple home runs, which will be fun to watch. But really, that's about it.
So you've got Nelson versus Bello. You've got
All right,
Gallen versus Crawford.
all right.
And
So
then,
two decent matchups there. Ryan Nelson is okay.
yeah. And then you've got, and it's funny because you have 2 day games. Well,
One
um,
afternoon game.
yeah, one afternoon game. And then you've got Merrill Kelly against Hout. So
All
you've
right.
got some good pitching matchups there
Yeah.
and things that can help you, set. But yeah,
I just like I talked about a few minutes ago, like just their lineup is just so it can start anywhere and it can go as long as it goes.
mhm,
There's not like
yeah,
there's no holes in the lineup. From Rafaela, David Hamilton, you get and then you turn it over to Jaron Duran again. Like
yeah,
usually, I mean, like back in the day, it was like, all right, Cesar Crespo is coming up. Like that's an out. Like
yep,
like
yep,
Doug Mirabelli. He's gonna hit like a solo home run here and there, but that's an out. Even recently, like Vasquez, that's an out. There were just outs. There were guys hitting like 220, and like more times than not, that's an out. And like
mhm,
now everybody's hitting like 260.
yeah,
So you're more often than not gonna continue to roll the lineup and as much and as disappointing as it was for us to lose Dom Smith, like uh as big a role as he did filling in while Casas was down for basically the whole season. He definitely turned heads and made way, but like I hate to say it, but I've almost forgot about Dom Smith because Casas is just such a more
Yeah.
bigger presence in the lineup.
Well, of
It,
course. Of course.
and
And you
he's
root
not
for
an
that,
out.
right?
Dom was kind of an out for a while, for a long while.
Yeah.
Then he kind of got rolling and he had 34 extra base hits. Like, he had a bunch of I think he had a 26 RBIs or something like that, or maybe I have those numbers backwards, but like he was very serviceable. He was great. But Casas is just a whole different animal.
Well, I mean, even, don't at me at or any Red Sox fans, but even Jason Varitek for a while, great behind the dish, but he'd hit a home run or two.
Oh,
But
sure. Yeah,
there
yeah,
was some time where he was almost an automatic out, but
yeah.
he wasn't being paid for what he was doing, like at the plate. He was getting paid for what he did behind the plate
Yeah.
and taking on A-Rod.
Yeah.
That scored him points.
Yeah. I mean, Veritek was like a 230 hitter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 100%, 100%. So,
So, it's gonna be a good run to the finish. And they just we talked about it in the off-air show, like it's not a talent thing right now, it's a math thing. They have to win when the Royals and Twins lose, and they can't lose when those teams win.
mhm. And it's a scoreboard watching thing. You can't watch the scoreboard right now. You're too far away from the end of the season. And what I mean by scoreboard watch is making different sets of matchups. Doesn't matter what the Twins and Royals do. If you guys lose 7 out of 10, doesn't matter what those other two teams are doing,
Right.
right? If you
Yep.
win 7 out of 10, a lot of things will take care of itself. Um, you just had it, like you said, you just had an incredible week, going 4-6 in that week. I'm sorry, going 4-2 in
Four
that
and
week.
three.
Four
Yeah,
and three,
four and
yeah.
three.
And you and I both talked about it. Split with the Orioles, take 2 out of 3 from the Astros.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
It's
you guys
it's
did.
winning series. It's winning or pushing series, and that's
Mhm.
uh and that's the key the rest of the way. I mean, it's been
Yeah,
the key the whole season,
yeah,
and
100%. Well,
they have
my,
they have an identity, which is great. A lot of teams like don't have identities. Even some of these contending teams, like who are the Minnesota Twins?
mhm.
Some Rocco Baldelli and the Summer Sausages.
Yep,
Like
yep, yeah. No, and again, you guys, I, it's been a pleasant surprise because we felt like were Mike and Bill Odamas at the beginning of the season when we said, hey, it's going to be a 500 team. But they've turned it on. You guys are 8 games, 9 games over 500. You're playing incredibly well, and you've separated yourself from the pack.
Yep.
Toronto and Tampa
Yeah, I mean
Bay.
they're the only other contender because I mean Seattle fired their manager today, right? So like they were the team that was chasing the Red Sox, and they seem to be kind of
Well, they're not going to get there. It's win or go home. They got to win the division or go home.
right.
And where Seattle's at now is so Houston has an incredibly difficult schedule to end the season, an incredibly difficult schedule, and Seattle does not. And the last 6 games of the season, 3 of them are Seattle, Houston. So if you're within a game or two, that's going to get exciting in how it plays itself out.
Yeah, but Seattle's 5.5 back right now.
Uh-huh. Right?
That's the way that the Astros are playing. Even if they do have a great, have a tough schedule, like the way the Astros are playing right now,
Mhm.
I don't want to see the Astros again.
Well,
That's the team
that
I don't want to see again. Even though we
that's
just beat them 2 out of 3.
that's true. And
They didn't have Bregman those first 2 games.
yeah, yeah. Um, these guys, Seattle go San Francisco, and then they play Tampa Bay, and then they play the Angels. So they're not playing one team that is a threat thing to finish out the month. Now, where it gets weird with the Astros, Mike, and this is something I think you and I had talked about before, but the Astros now go to Baltimore, then they go to Philadelphia. Then you're a huge fan of the Astros because they play Kansas City to
Yep.
end the month. But they play and they don't have another day off until, get this, you're going to laugh at this. They don't have a day off until September 3rd. But here's why you're going to laugh at this. They play against Kansas City Friday, Saturday, Sunday, September 1st. They fly Sunday night to Cincinnati. They play Monday, Labor Day in Cincinnati. They have Tuesday off, and then they play Wednesday and Thursday against Cincinnati in Cincinnati. Makes a whole heck of a lot of sense, doesn't it?
So they have a day off on the road.
Yes. In the middle of a series.
Yeah.
In the middle of a series. Whoever thought of that, God bless them. You know, great job. We appreciate you. But
I just think
anyways,
that the Astros are primed and they're ready.
yeah. Well, top 10 rivalry followers and unraveling the Red Sox followers. Number one, we will probably have a guest on the next show. It's a great guest that you're gonna want to get to know. I've interviewed him. Mike knows who he is. Great guy. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna talk a lot of Red Sox baseball. There is going to be a Red Sox podcast episode from Top Fan Rivalry, sponsored by Top Fan Rivalry, powered by Unraveling the Red Sox, that Mike will be on with a number of different Red Sox fans coming up. So if you're looking for that, perfect. If you haven't, heads up, if you have not joined the locker room, you need to do so. $25. Use the code, Mike. What's the code?
Unraveling.
Unraveling. It's going to save you 10% off. Here's why you want to do that. If you're listening to this on YouTube, great. If you're listening to this in the locker room, you already know. Top Fan Rivalry is going to have a number of different events, both on Zoom and in person. They will be locker room only events. Okay. There will be locker room only events. And so uh just know earlier this month we had an all ladies night and it was fantastic. And there was 16 or 18 ladies on, they had a good time. Next month, Mike, we are going to have a professional athlete on. I didn't say he was a professional baseball player, but a professional athlete on. And let's just say what he has been able to accomplish is nothing short of miraculous in his career. So, but you can't get that unless you're in the locker room. You don't get the invite unless you're in the
That's
locker
right.
room. It is a separate link. It's a separate everything. So, Mike, do you understand why they want to join the locker room now?
Oh yes.
Okay. October, we're going to have an all get together, but we're also going to have one where it is just, just, and when I say just guys. It's gonna be an all fellas night, and we're gonna have a great time. And I think I know who the guest is on that one too. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So, anyways, go get your locker room. Use the code Unraveling Red Sox. Do not pay full price. You pay full price, that's on you. Okay, there's nothing I can do about that. I can't fix that. There's a saying you can't. Never mind. I'm not even gonna say it because you don't want to offend people. Mike, it's been great. Let's do it again. Yeah.
Always, Bill. I can't wait. Looking forward to it. Go Red Sox.
Go Red Sox. Talk to you soon.